Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me and for allowing me to speak to you all the way from the West Coast. I'm on Vancouver Island. For those that don't know, I'm part of Unity Vancouver Island. And yes, it was last June, almost a year now that I was ordained. And originally my talk title was actually Stop Fighting for Lack. But I was told that had some kind of negativity to it. So I bent to the demands of others, something I don't like to do or I don't do willingly, and lightened it. But the reason is because in looking at my own life, I could see that there's so many times that I am fighting for not having. I mean, just think about that. What are like 4 words that we often say to ourselves? I can't, I'm not, and you can finish the sentence. And that to me is me within myself fighting for not having what I want in my life. I'm actually taking myself out of the game before anybody else even gets a chance to. Before the world might even say, no, we're not going to allow you to do this. And so for myself, I've become very particular about the language and the wording I use. And even to the point, this is how silly it is today's affirmation. I focus on my divinity and know prosperity. Now, if I wasn't looking at the word KNOW and if I was the universe, I would be like, what? You don't want prosperity? Okay. So for me, wordsmithing in my own psychology and my own thinking is the battle that I'm dealing with every day. And it makes me think of this from Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll. Alice laughed. There's no use trying, she said. One can't believe impossible things. I dare say you haven't had much practice, said the Queen. When I was younger, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. And that is really what prosperity consciousness is about. It's about a belief. It's about setting up your thinking. It's about being on top of the very generative life that we have within us. And when I think of the 12 powers, we have and one of your slides, you earlier mentioned the word life. We have this power of life within us. It is that life flow, that desire to live life at its fullest. And I haven't been around that long. I've been around long enough, but from what I've gathered from everybody I've come across, and I spent 20 plus years as a financial advisor and a stockbroker, and all of the families that I sat down with, all of the individuals that I have sat down with are always looking for satisfying this thing called life and wanting to live the fullest life they can. And I believe it starts with us. It starts right here. It's from the inside out that this happens. It's not from the outside in, although I get it. It can feel that way, right? It can feel like it's coming at us. I have this saying that I learned from a personal coach years ago, that this sometimes, doesn't it feel like life is lifing me? Where I'm just kind of hanging on and stuff keeps happening and stuff keeps coming at me. And how am I ever going to overcome, or how am I going to get beyond this? That sort of feeling. And I'm well aware of that feeling. Now, when I speak, a lot of times I will use Jesus as an example. As a Unity minister, one of the things that I have come to love and appreciate is the teachings of Jesus from a metaphysical point of view, and from the understanding, as Unity has it, that Jesus is the example, not the exception. In other words, when I say that, when I hear that, what I think of is that there's a teaching there that we can emulate, that we can live into. I'm not saying we're all going to become Jesus, but we can take on that Christ nature, that Christ consciousness. It's within us. And that's why I love the teachings of Jesus. I will also use the word God. And so when I do, I invite you to replace that word with whatever works for you. For me, God is that life essence itself. It is not some being in the sky, as I used to think when I was a kid, that was judging and weighing and measuring me. That I can do that all by myself. Anybody else feel that way? Can you judge, weigh, and measure yourself? Oh yeah, I'm sure we all do it a lot. So let's begin with something from Luke. Put God's kingdom first, then those other things will also be given to you. Little flock, do not be afraid. Your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell what you own. Give to those who are poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out. Store up riches in heaven that will never be used up. There, no thief can come near it. There, no moth can destroy it. This is an invitation. This is an invitation for us to let go, for us to understand that there is a greater essence to life than the material things around us. See, when we have something like peace, your word for this year, when we have something like love, when we have something like a spiritual divinity within us, there is no thief that can take that from us. There is no moth that can eat that up. Those are not things in the material world. Those are things that we have and can nurture and cultivate within ourselves. And when we operate from that place, when we hold those as the kingdom of heaven, right here, right now, when we place our path alongside those teachings, we can begin to experience life at its fullest. It doesn't mean you're going to have more money than anybody else. It doesn't mean that you're going to have more things than anybody else. What it means is that you will have within you the ability to love and appreciate life beyond any of those things. You know, I've met people in the world that have far less than what we have here in North America, that they have far less opportunity. And they are some of the happiest people I have ever met in my life. Because for them, the value is not in the things, it's what's within. It's the way that they carry themselves. It's the love they have for their family and friends, for those around them. This is what prosperity is. It's not just about finances. A prosperity consciousness is in all things in our lives, our relationships, our communities, our centers for spirituality, our families, our colleagues, our friends, the abundance that we can share with others in the financial realm or in the things realm. All of those things make up our prosperity. And so when I think of stop fighting for lack, it begins with ourselves. What is it that I'm truly holding on to? What is it that I'm truly saying to myself? The best thing I can do is kind of give you an example from my own life. So when I examine my own steps to being here as a Unity minister, when I look over that path, it occurred to me as I was preparing this talk, it occurred to me that most of my life, it feels like I have continually been fighting for lack, that I've been thinking and believing this perception that I'm missing something, that there's one more thing I need to have, and then I'll be complete, or there's one more course I need to take, or there's one more session I need to go to, or there's one more book I need to, if I could just get that one more thing, that somehow my life would be better or different or more than what it currently is. Even my desire on some level to become a unity minister was my own perception that I needed one more thing in my life. Yes, it's a calling. I understand that. I don't know why I decided to do this. It just hit me that I wanted to do this. But also, when I investigate myself, I can see that there was also within me this thing that said I needed to do this. In order for me to be taken seriously in the realm of spirituality, I need to become a minister. Then people will take me seriously. And that's the challenge that I put before all of us, no matter where we are in our life. What is it that we are thinking we require? What is that one more thing that we think we need in order to be fulfilled? Because that's not the job. The job is to live the life we have. You know, I think Marilyn said it best when she kind of punctuated our 5 principles with action. One of the action steps we need to take is to get out of our own way. And that is our thinking and our perceptions of what life looks like, of what we are hanging on to. What are the things that you are hanging on to in your life, clinging to as a way of staying safe in this moment? And it's not a criticism. It's just the way we're designed. As humans, we want to be safe. We want to be comfortable and safe. So there's a balance that needs to be struck between the idea of having those moments. Hey, I can binge watch Netflix with the best of you. Seriously. You know, there's no stopping me here in terms of that. I can take a weekend and do absolutely nothing. And I can also put myself to task and question my own beliefs, question my own curiosities, question my own activity. And that's really what Jesus was teaching us along the way. All of the parables that Jesus presented to us were opportunities for us to see something about ourselves. Metaphysical Bible interpretation is as simple as, how does this show up in me? How is this in me? So when we can take the teachings and look at it from that perspective, that's when we can begin to transform our lives. Hey, if you're like me, we know that everybody else could be different, don't we? Who are the people that we would like to change in our lives? And I think it was, what was it? Dwayne Dyer that said, if you want things to change the way you look at them. Right? Those are golden words for whatever we're doing. Another piece from Jesus, and I'll read this, is, do not worry. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? I would argue for no. This is one of those no's in the world. It's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, worrying might actually subtract some hours from your life. It'll certainly take away from opportunities. You know, one of the things that I've also noticed in my own life is that whenever I let go of stuff, something seems to want to show up. So here's what I mean by that. If we're worried about something and we're so focused on it that we actually can't see possibility when it shows up because we're not open to it, right? The trick is, if you want to call it a trick, the trick is to release ourselves from things, is to let go of things. That actually creates a space, an opportunity for something to show up. The universe is a vacuum, right? Space is an actual vacuum. That's why when, there's a spacecraft with air in it, as soon as you open the door, it all rushes out because space wants to take in that thing. So by creating space in our lives, we actually create the opening for something new. It's why when I was a kid, I heard that story that if you, as soon as you start thinking about buying a Volkswagen Beetle, you'll see them everywhere around you, right? It's not that more drove into town and showed up that weekend. It's that you're now tuning into that frequency. So as we tune into a certain frequency, that's what we see more of. If we think we're living in lack, we're going to see more lack. It's just the way our brains work. I had a business coach a few years ago tell me that what she does, here's her example. She wanted to buy a new leather jacket when she was out shopping. And the first thing she thought was, what's going to leave my closet so I can make room for it? Now that's a discipline. That is a way of thinking about, hey, I want to create space in my life. So something needs to go in order for me to have that space. So if there's things we're hanging on to, if there's things that we are, must haves or must be, that's the place to look. How can I let this go? What is there for me to let go of in this moment? Why does this keep showing up in my life? This is the place to always look. It's never out there. It always seems like it is, but it's just not. And I'll give one more example from the Bible, the parable of the mustard seed. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a person took and planted in their field. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches. Sounds very nice. It's wonderful. Heaven, the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed, and if I nurture it, it's going to grow. And we can think of that in terms of our inner being, nurturing ourselves. That feeling overcomes, what it's like when you have a wonderful meditation session or a prayer session, and you've allowed that feeling to overtake you and become part of you, and that essence grows and you feel wonderful. But there is a cautionary tale here. See, the birds to a farmer are not a friend. The birds can come and take your crop. They can destroy parts of your crop. And so although we might have this beautiful garden growing within us, there are things that will rest in our branches and begin to work away at us. And that's what this message is to me. A warning that, yes, nurture that seed, nurture that kingdom of heaven, but also be aware of what you're thinking and where you're going along that path. That's the work to always be doing, is what is within me that needs some attention, that requires, in a lot of cases, some love. Because loving yourself is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of kindness towards others, because when you love yourself, others don't have to deal with your unresolved problems. And man, can I lay some stuff on people? Holy smokes. And so I learned on this journey of becoming a unity minister that it starts with me. And if I love myself and I take care of myself to the best of my ability, I have way more to give. As a matter of fact, I have this internal saying for myself. I want to have so much love in me for myself that I have to give it away. Like, I have too much love, man. I got to throw some over here and throw some over there, because I don't need to worry about getting it from somebody else. I can cultivate that within myself. And if I can do that, then that takes one less burden off of my life. I'm not sponging onto others to get something that I can provide for myself through my own faith, my own curiosities, my own teachings. So there's 4 aspects to self-love: self-awareness, self-worth, self-esteem, and self-care. I'll say that again. So if you want to write it down, you can. Self-awareness, self-worth, self-esteem, and self-care. And all those 4 things can be rolled up in our meditation and prayer practice. We can bring those into our presencing anytime we're in prayer. We can honor ourselves. We can decide and choose that over many other choices we might make. I learned this from Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddha body, someone that is capable of understanding and of loving. There's 3 phases to this from Thich Nhat Hanh. One is the Buddha body, someone that is capable of understanding and of loving. The Dharma body, the practice of mindfulness, concentration, and insight. And the Sangha body, a community of practitioners. This is the Sangha body. People can steal your telephone, your computer, but they cannot steal your practice. So in unity, and what I'm seeing before me with all of you gathered today in different areas, some of you at your home, some of you in a community center, some of you with other people here on Zoom, this is our community. This is one of our practices. And when we practice together in a group, doesn't it feel a little bit richer? Don't we feel a little more connected? Even if we're miles away, as we are, we're thousands of miles away from one another. You know, I'm way out on the West Coast. You're in the center of Canada. Yet we can come together in community and we can cultivate this feeling of loving kindness, peacefulness together. And we can do this on our own. And so before we go into meditation, I'd like to leave you with something from Ralph Waldo Emerson. So I invite you to just take a moment here as I read these words and allow yourself to let go of everything we've just spoken about, and just bring yourself to this present moment if you can. If it's easy, if it's better to close your eyes, I invite you to close your eyes for a moment. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden, a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. And so with that, I invite you to stay in this moment with me and close your eyes. Allow your breath to breathe you. And now take a deeper breath in, and I invite you to breathe in through your nose and to first fill your heart space. So we'll be breathing in through our nose into our heart space. And if you can, allow yourself to breathe slowly, methodically, and count to 5 as you breathe in. And then you're going to hold for a second or two, and then allow your exhale to be like a count of 7 so that we're exhaling a little bit longer than our inhale. This begins to calm and connect us to our sympathetic nervous system. So as you're ready, you can begin to breathe in. And then allow that exhale to be a little bit longer than the breathe in. We'll just do 2 more into our heart center. Now I'll invite you to bring that breath again in through your nose into your solar plexus, so just below your rib cage. And we'll do 3 breaths the same. This is where our wisdom is gathered. So we started with our heart space, our love, our harmony. We're moving into our wisdom. And continuing with this same breath cycle, let's move that into our belly, where order resides. Now allowing your breath to return to being breathed. I invite you to do a little body scan here, starting at our top of our head, our crown chakra, our faith as one of our 12 powers. And just scan as you move from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, looking for any places where there might be some tension, where there might be some drama being held on to. And if you find something, just pause and imagine you're breathing in this breath of life into that space. And so we breathe into that area and fill it up. And then we have the opportunity to let it go with our out breath. For me, that's usually my neck and shoulder area, an area that I like to relax when I go into meditation. And once you're done your scan, just allow yourself to be present. And one of the best ways to allow ourselves to be present is to be breathed and allow our ears to hear whatever they're going to hear. Might have some thoughts or judgments around that, and we can let that go. We'll just spend a few moments together here. I'll put on a little background chanting for us. As we prepare to come back to our community, I invite you to gently repeat these words to yourself as we hold this space together. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease. And now to our community. And I'd like you to imagine with your imagination some of the faces or voices of the people that you share community with. They could be here in this gathering today. They could be somewhere else that you have a strong community with. So bring in a few faces and voices. Hold them in light as we say these words. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. Let's allow that to settle in as we take a nice deep breath in through our nose. And then we let that go. As you're ready with an inhale breath, you can open your eyes. Come back to this space together. I'd like to thank all of you for being here today and for allowing me to be present with you and to share these thoughts and words. And I look forward to seeing you again on my journeys. Namaste.